At the corner of Queen and Richmond, in the heart of beautiful downtown London, Ontario, stories are unfolding every day. Stories of faith and doubt, stories of struggle and hope, stories of justice, community, and stories of radical hospitality. I'm Kevin George, Dean at St. Paul's Cathedral in the Diocese of Huron, and I want to welcome you to From the Heart of the City, a podcast. Hello, friends, and welcome to From the Heart of the City. My name is Kevin George. I'm Dean and Rector here at St. Paul's Cathedral in downtown London. Thank you for coming back for episode 3. I hope you're sharing this with your family and friends and encourage them to subscribe and learn more about what's happening here in London, Ontario, from the heart of the city. And from the heart of this city, we're going to have some incredible conversations in weeks ahead with some writers and theologians as well that broaden the circle of how we're connected beyond even the corner here of Queen and Richmond to a world out there in which God is unfolding beautiful things. Thank you for joining us today. I think you're going to enjoy our episode. One of the great privileges of serving here in the heart of the city is that you get to meet people whose lives remind you that hope is not merely an idea, but that it's something you can live out, that you can actually display in your life. And I think today's guest reflects that. Hope is something that has to be practiced. And here at St. Paul's Cathedral, we encounter people from every walk of life. Some arrive seeking community, some are seeking food, some are seeking respite or a rest out of the heat or out of the cold, whichever it might be. And they need to be welcomed with a sense of radical hospitality. And so the staff we have here, Carrie and Kevin and Matthew and Jessica and Shala, and yes, Nistha Chakraborty, who is program manager of Paul's Place. They all do an incredible job of reaching beyond themselves and modeling what it looks like to be a hospitable community. For more than 40 years, Paul's Place has been serving people who are in need in this downtown city. Just a few weeks ago, we sadly said goodbye to the Most Reverend Archbishop Percy O'Driscoll. He was the dean here in the early 80s when what was the seed of this program that we have now was planted and sown. He and lay folks here at that time began with a simple pantry, a cupboard of canned goods, because that's all that the needs were in that day. And sadly, we know now how much more need is there. And along with that need, St. Paul's and its outreach ministry, Paul's Place, has grown to meet those needs. So I thought today will be a good time to highlight the fact that behind every ministry are people who are quietly carrying the responsibility, who make it happen, who are out there making sure that we are doing all that we can to promote the work that we are doing here, people who will enter into the struggles that others are facing. So I'm delighted today that Nistha Chakraborty will join us. She's the program manager at Paul's Place, and she brings her professional expertise, but she also brings a heart for compassion. She has a loving and a kind soul. And so today we'll explore themes of food insecurity, of the realities of facing, the realities that we're facing here in downtown London. And we'll explore hope, we'll explore community, and we'll explore radical hospitality. If you've ever wondered what life looks like on the front lines of community care in downtown London, then you do not want to miss this conversation. If you ever asked yourself, what role might I be able to play in this? I think today is a good time for you to listen to this podcast and think about how you can help. This conversation, I think, is both challenging and inspiring. And most of all, it's an invitation into radical hospitality. So sit and join me for a conversation. This is From the Heart of the City. And we are excited to welcome all the way from upstairs in this building, Nistha Chakraborty, who is our program manager for Paul's Place. Welcome to From the Heart of the City.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, and you may get the prize for this early. We're on the 3rd episode, but you have traveled the longest distance to get back here for this podcast.
I did. I definitely traveled my way across Asia and back in time to do this podcast.
See, there you go. And you had, for our listeners, Nistha took a short vacation and she was back home, and she was also in South Korea. You had a good time?
I did. It was awesome. It was very refreshing to be away for a while. But happy to come back and dive head first into the work that we're doing here. So very happy to be back.
Wonderful. And she brought me back a shirt.
I did.
And I wore it, and I think I rocked it.
Absolutely, you did.
Okay, good.
A very good Bengali man.
Hey, that's me. Um, so, okay, so let's just dive right into some thoughts here because you're still relatively new with us. You've been with us now for what, coming up on 6, 7 months, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 months.
So I wonder if you could help those who are listening, watching, learn a little bit more about you. What journey brought you to London and to Paul's Place?
Yeah. So I came to Canada when I was barely 18 and I went to King's for a degree in psychology. And I've always wanted to get away from London, but I always say that London has its claws in me. It's like a lobster that has sort of held me together. And
Hmm.
every time I tried to leave, London has pulled me back with a sense of community, with the opportunities I've had here and the people that I've gotten to meet here. And after I graduated, I was working in various roles, particularly in marketing and fundraising. And while I was looking for my next opportunity, Paul's Place just happened to me. And I feel like, of course, it was such a perfect time that everything came together. And here I am doing my
Oh,
work 6 months in.
and how fortunate for us that you are and that you've come alongside. Wonder, Nishta, is there a moment in your life that, because a lot of what we do here is shaped by compassion and social justice. Is there a moment in your life that sort of shaped your understanding of those things, of the need for justice in the world?
Mhm. Of course, I grew up in India where I've seen a lot of poverty and I've seen a lot of pain in people's eyes. And since I was a child, um, I I think I've grown up witnessing that people deserve a lot more than they're given, whereas there are people in the world who have more than they need and they're
Hmm.
sitting on hordes of wealth, whereas people are dying.
A trillion,
A
one
trillion,
trillion, one
exactly. There you
trillion
go.
dollars.
Exactly. So I think witnessing these very basic injustices in life and then going to Kings has definitely shaped my sense of social justice and what it means to be in service to your community. I like I said, I did psychology, and it was always my interest in people's stories that brought me where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that interest in how people live their lives and lead with compassion. And I truly believe in the goodness of the human nature. And I think people can do a lot of good in the world, but still be dealt a lot of bad cards.
Hmm.
And again, we talk about the different political systems, but I believe in socialism as our biggest our biggest strength and our pride, and
Hmm.
socialist standards to create the society we want to live in. And I think Canada does a pretty good job of having a safety net when you lose your job, of having supportive housing and trying to build more. I know we're not perfect, but I think as a society, we try and we have good intentions. And it just takes a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of process to get to where we need to be.
But you're right. We do have, far more globally than people realize. Um, just picking up on that a little bit, I guess. I wonder about, because we're in a political climate. This is a little off, but we're in this political climate now where we see, sort of real polar extremes, right? So, and even just the unfolding of New York City and Mandami, right, in the way that
Yes.
he's chosen to govern, as opposed to all these strong men that have popped up
Yeah.
around the world. And I think that's bearing something different, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, we're completely right to discuss politics in a sense of social services because it is systemic injustices, it is
Hmm.
systemic design that has led people to poverty or to extreme wealth.
Yes.
And so we're not at all off topic talking about these things. And of course, there is Mamdani in New York City who's showing the world that good principles and good policy translate to good living standards, translate to happier citizens, translate to systems that work for the people and not for a select few. If someone is voting for you, your responsibility, your onus is to serve them with purpose and serve them with dignity, and be responsible to.
Hmm.
You're a politician. Your name comes from people.
Yeah.
You are supposed to work for the people. So, yes, there are people getting richer. There are people being voted into power. There is this extremism in this world right now, which, for better or for worse, comes from from our access to information.
Hmm.
But it is hard. It's hard work when governments don't support you, when
Yeah.
the Ontario government is pulling funding from safe consumption sites, from
Yeah.
the House of Hope at London Cares.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Those
politics is definitely a part of it.
those are huge, and I think you're right. And I think that you something you said earlier was that you believe inherently in the good of people, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets harder for us all the time to hold on to that because there's such a toxic public discourse nowadays, and
Yeah.
you lose faith in humanity some days. But ultimately, I think that the politicians that appeal to the better angels of our nature
Mm-hmm.
are those that need to find a voice. Now, anyway, moving off of that, Paul's Place. So you've been here for six
Yes.
months now. So people say to you, "Oh, Nishta, you got this job downtown. You're in downtown London. You're at Paul's Place, and it's a rebrand for those who are from the London area who may know the place as St. Paul Social Services. We wanted to move away from that idea of it
Mm-hmm.
being some sort of a handout because we're trying to really form community here. And so this is a
Yes.
place now, Paul's Place. Can you explain for our listeners, for our viewers, what is Paul's Place, and what would they see in a typical week if they were to come here?
Well, Paul's Place has been in existence for over 40 years. And as you said, we're trying to move away from the social services model and be more of a welcoming community where you find a place and it's a physical space that you can come into and feel welcomed and feel like you're treated with care and compassion. And so we are a charity at its core. We do try to do the best we can to serve our vulnerable neighbors in need. If you come in on a Monday, you will see our food bank operating from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So people in need can come for a week of groceries for themselves or their families. And it is supposed to be an emergency model because that's only the capacity we have.
Hmm.
And we do not ask you any questions. You just have to give us a little bit of a proof of an address or something so we can store our data better. And then on Thursdays and Fridays, we operate our meal program at the Fellowship Center. It is downstairs. It is, again, a meal without any questions. All our food is donated by grocery stores and organizations across the city who believe in the work we're doing. So you come in, you're always greeted with a smile. You're always
Hmm.
greeted with dignity because you are a person first and foremost. You are an important you are an important citizen in our society, and your
Hmm.
circumstances are not who you are.
Hmm.
And if you are hungry, if you need food, even if we're closed, we'll try to go find a sandwich for you. We'll try to You're here because you need us and we are here to help you. So
Hmm.
we do our best and we try to serve to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, and I think what I like about what you just said is that a person is not their circumstances, right? So we talk a lot here about radical hospitality,
Yes.
and I talk a lot about how everybody is a beloved child of God and how we're made in God's image in the Christian teaching.
Hmm.
That's what we talk about. But and so I just wonder if you could share for folks your ideas around radical hospitality. What does that mean for you?
Hmm. So the first time I was confronted with the idea of radical hospitality was before I was interviewing for this role, and I was reading the strategic plan, and it stood out to me because in university I took this course called Consumer Society, and it was this idea that I took away from it, that we are consumers and we enter a store or a restaurant or wherever we're spending money with the hope that it will distract us from our regular
Mm.
circumstances. If you're a happy person, you want to go spend money at a restaurant, you want to treat your friends, you want to share their happiness. If you're feeling some certain sense of dread, if you're unhappy, you're going into a store to buy certain clothes, that purchase makes you feel better.
Hmm.
And radical hospitality to me was a sense of customer service in that context,
Mm.
because customer service is also this idea that you are there for a reason. My job is to make you feel more welcome. My job is to make you feel happier, to make you feel like you're cared for. That's how I equated it in the beginning. But the more I work over here, the more I realize that it's a degree of selflessness,
Mm,
and it's a degree of forgetting, sorry, remembering that you are in relation to the people around you. You do not
mhm,
exist in a vacuum,
mhm,
and the community we build, the people we support, give us our meaning in life.
mhm.
No one exists in a vacuum. No one,
Yeah.
if even if you're working from home, you still go out of your house every day, and you, again, you are who the people around you.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that hospitality is a teaching that you have from your faith. I want people to know that I'm not a Christian myself. I grew
Mhm.
up and I was raised Hindu, and um, I was initially kind of skeptical working in a faith-based organization because I genuinely did not know what I might have come into.
Mhm.
But it is the beauty of faith. It is how um, faith, no, regardless of what faith you were born with, or you were raised with, you are taught to take care of people around you, to be
That's right.
kind and to be respectful. So I think radical hospitality is that selflessness, is remembering that everyone deserves love and respect equally, regardless
Mhm.
of who they are.
Yeah, I love that. And Nishta, you came on a Sunday morning for Pentecost,
I did.
my beautiful Hindu friend, and because at that Pentecost service, which in a Christian context celebrates sort of the diversity of
Mhm.
God's children, we had 19 different languages spoken.
We did.
And all of them were people connected to this community in some way. They weren't people
Yes.
we had to go out and find to find languages. They're connected to St. Paul's Cathedral and to Paul's Place as an extension of that, and so on. I thought I hadn't had this question, but just listening to you talk, reflect on the religious aspect of it, and because people hear Christian, they hear a lot of different things, right? You don't know you're coming to interview for this job. You could be
Yeah,
walking into a place which is homophobic and
exactly.
right? Because there's all of that in the Christian context as well.
Hmm.
But you came into something which I think is decidedly different. I wonder
Absolutely.
if you have a word about what that was like, that experience of being
Of
in
course.
in a Christian worship service, which was celebrating diversity.
Of course. I feel so proud to say that I work at a cathedral,
Mm,
because I think my generation overall has been blinded by what faith can be, because
hmm.
we've seen so much religious extremism in our lifetimes. We've seen, I mean, since we were born, like, let's say those of us born in the 90s and the 2000s, we've seen so much religious extremism. We've seen terrorism in its worst forms. We've seen
Yeah.
terrorism globally and locally in our own community. And I still remember when we were talking about the London terrorism case, and that it was in court. The the person who committed the crime had talked about how folks were wearing their cultural clothing, and that's how they
Hmm.
decided that these were my targets for
Yeah.
an attack. And
Hmm.
that really stood out to me, and I just thought about how people can be so restricted within their cultures and within their faiths to think
Yeah.
outside the box, to embrace people who are not necessarily themselves.
Hmm.
I grew up in a secular country that we're proud to call ourselves a very secular country. I went to a Christian school where I had Hindu friends, and I grew up embracing religion. But somewhere along the way, um, there was a sort of sense of disdain for religion as well.
Hmm.
But then I saw the work that you do, and I saw how progressive you can be as a religious person.
Hmm.
I mean, you are preaching to so many people every week, and preaching the message of God, and preaching to be better people.
Hmm.
And that's what stands out to me the most is my grandmother, who was the most staunch Hindu woman I knew,
Hmm.
also taught me to treat people with love and kindness and to
Amen.
live your life a certain way. It was not about I mean, obviously, I think faith is an act of surrender.
Hmm.
And once you're able to surrender yourself to a bigger dynamic that you don't have to have it all figured out, I
Hmm.
think being at St. Paul's Cathedral has reconnected me with my faith as well, because
Interesting.
I remember I remember those teachings that, prayer. I always equated prayer with psychological therapy, because
Hmm.
you're resigning yourself to someone, you're waiting for those answers, you're talking out aloud about your problems.
Hmm.
And I think faith is so beautiful in bringing people together, especially in contexts where we don't have third spaces in community.
Right.
Besides the library or the park, where can you go where you're not spending money and finding people and a sense of community?
Right.
And I think our churches, our temples, our mosques are doing such a great job of still keeping people
Mm.
connected. And again, I feel proud to be a part of a place that we're not doesn't have to be regressive and
No,
conservative.
not at
Religion
all.
can be used as a force for better, as you keep showing us.
Hmm.
And I truly believe in your teachings as well, because again, it's all love and respect and
Yep.
kindness. And if you want to lean into your bad side, you will do that regardless.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I think I feel so proud to work at St. Paul's Cathedral as also a Hindu woman who
Yeah, amen.
follows my faith.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And we're proud that you do. And that really is for me personally, in terms of my own efforts to follow in the way of Jesus. And I still remember
Yes.
that Gandhi said he had no problems with the teaching of Jesus. He just had a hard time finding Christians who were following it. Um, and uh,
Yeah.
and so it's when I think about what it means to do that, and I see a director or a program manager of one of our biggest outreach ministry, who's not a
Yes.
Christian, who's a Hindu, who embraces the values of kindness,
Yes.
respect, compassion, radical hospitality. That gives me great hope for where we might go as a church, as a cathedral in a downtown city.
Yeah. And I think
So
again, to the point of being downtown and to the point of being a part of such a heritage organization, we are a part of a greater context, and we all have to work together regardless of our differences to make this city a more livable place and um a warmer city. So being downtown, I think, also has its own uh, challenges, but it's perks.
yes.
And we see more people, and we see a lot more people who come in. And I think we are doing a great work also because of where we're located.
Well, that's a perfect segue for my next question, which is what do you think, like what would you identify as the biggest needs you see down here in the downtown core right now?
I think, well, I think so. As someone who lives downtown and works downtown, I truly think downtown is the best part of London.
Mm.
It is the most walkable place. You have many storefronts. You are seeing people. I go for a walk. I went out of my apartment to mail some letters, and I ran into someone I knew who was walking their dog.
Hmm.
I don't think I could do this at the north end of the city or in a Sunningdale or a Westmount, where I would go out and I would know someone.
Mm.
And as someone who values my social connections and the village I'm building, it is important for me to be able to see the people I call my friends, I call my family, I call my acquaintances.
Hmm.
And I think downtown does that in a very good sense, because, again, in an ever growing suburbia, this is the last remaining place where you can stroll out, buy a sandwich, and come back home in 10 minutes,
Hmm.
where the
Yep.
grocery store is located in a walking distance. But those who are not living downtown are skeptical because they see needles, they see people sitting on the sidewalks, they see people who need help clearly.
Hmm.
But I think that's where, again, going back to the point of compassion, these are people who need something. They don't have homes.
Right.
If not here, where?
Right.
we are not creating more spaces for people to have shelter. We're
Hmm.
trying our best. We're trying to retrofit office buildings to homes. We're building micro modular tents at the end, at the periphery of the city, but
Crazy.
you're not allowing to be a villager.
Right.
We're in a society where we need to go back to the original forms of community, where we're there for each other. Someone's driving you to the train station when you need to. Someone's looking after your cat when you're gone.
Hmm.
These are little things we can all do, and physical proximity makes that easier.
Yes.
So if people have that skepticism about downtown, rethink why you're feeling that way.
Yeah.
Sure, you love your big backyard. You probably work downtown, but you're getting into your SUV in the morning, driving with your windows rolled up and listening to music and getting into your office parking lot, seeing the same people all over again, leaving at the end of the day into your big backyard and not interacting with anyone who's outside your realm of life.
Hmm. Yeah. And
How,
that's
and I think that disconnects you from the greater society you're living in.
right.
And downtown sort of forces you to reckon with that.
I think you're right on. I mean, I live in the northwest of the city, and I ministered out there for 12 years, and I have neighbors and friends. Oh, I don't go downtown. I wouldn't go downtown now. Since I've begun working here at the cathedral, I'm downtown almost every night of the week, um,
Mhm.
and I don't have fear. I'm not afraid. Am I cautious at times? Yes, absolutely. You have to be,
Exactly.
but mostly what I see is heartbreaking and a bad reflection on who we are as a culture,
Absolutely.
more than a fear,
And
right?
I love that you say that because I was in South Korea, like I mentioned, and I did not see a single person on the street.
Right. Because
I
it does not have to be this way.
It doesn't. In India, sure, there are people living in slums, there are people on the streets, but India is also a country with a huge population and has its own
Hmm.
problems. But
Yes.
as a first world country with so much riches,
Hmm.
with so many taxpayers,
Hmm.
we shouldn't, we should have better support systems.
Hmm.
We should have more visible support systems. Why do we need to be located inside a building in a
Yep.
basement?
Right.
Why can't we have an open place where people can just go sit, have a meal, chat,
Hmm.
and not be reprimanded for just existing?
For existing, yeah. And of course, we're skirting around all of this. Really,
Hmm.
what we're talking about as well is housing, because
Absolutely.
ultimately, one of the big issues we have down here is not just downtown, but in the city in general and across North America. And as you noted earlier, we've got the government cutting London Cares program at the House of Hope. A fraction of it's a the money that's needed there is a rounding error in the provincial budget. I mean, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So
And you
so that
pointed that out correctly.
Right. And so, you talk about that in the safe injection sites. We've had, I wrote about having an overdose here in the city, here in the
Hmm.
church, pardon me, here in the cathedral. Those things will increase when we take away these supports. And if we can't
Yeah.
provide stable housing for people, what do we expect is going to happen?
I agree. And I think more than stable housing is definitely one of the biggest parts of it. But I think as a culture in Canada, we have so many barriers to
Yes.
executing what we want to do. There's so much bureaucracy,
Yeah.
there's so much process that people can't just up and start something.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that we'd have so many innovative solutions to housing that are just lacking support.
Yep. And then where we are is we are sort of downstream from the problem, and we're trying to yank people out of the river.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
thinking about that, I mean, you've seen a lot since you've been here.
Hmm.
Is there a story, protecting names, of course, but is there anything that you can think of that's happened since you've been here, which sort of captures the heart of what Paul's Place is all about, where you went, oh my God, thank God we're here doing this.
I think, I mean, the first story that comes to my mind is when I was this happened a few months ago where I was at one of my favorite bars and I was sitting beside a lady and we were talking. got we got chatting about the work that we're doing, and I told her, hey, like I manage Paul's Place. We're a charity. We
Mhm.
have a food bank. And she said, oh, are you guys still upstairs? And I said,
Mhm.
oh, you know about us.
Mm.
And she said, yes, I used to go there, and now
Wow.
I'm a paralegal, and
Mhm.
I am helping other folks in need. And that and she came back to participate in one of our
Mhm.
events. She's warmly offered to be involved with us and stay in touch with us and talk about the good work that we're doing. But that encapsulates the work that we're all striving to do, is help people move along in their journey and
Mhm.
not be we want to be there for you when you need us, but we want to enable you towards housing, towards
Mhm.
social safety, towards a support net, towards being able to find your own employment.
Mm.
And obviously, as a small organization, we can't do all of that, but
No.
we can help you with food when you're feeling hungry, and that's your
Mhm.
basic need.
Mhm.
We can
Yeah,
help you with your basic needs, so you're not going to bed hungry. You can go to work the next morning. You can find work. You can find housing, and you can sustain yourself.
that's right.
even
That,
yesterday even yesterday I was walking home, and a lady just looked at me and she said, oh, you're at the food bank, I've seen you there. And
mhm.
I said, well, yes, thank you so much for stopping and saying hi.
Mhm.
It is, again, people remember you for the work you do, even if you feel like it's not very much. You can
Mhm.
feed someone a sandwich with $5 tomorrow, and they will remember your kindness.
That's right. And this past Sunday here at the church, Archbishop Linda Nichols was preaching, and she brought up this concept that Dorothy Day, who was a social activist in middle part of the last century in the Catholic workers movement, she was instrumental in that and helped countless thousands of people on the streets. And Dorothy Day had this concept of doing your bit of goodness,
Yes.
that the negativity can really push against you, but there's that ripple effect of dropping a pebble in the lake,
Mhm.
and how the ripples go out, and we can choose to do
Yeah.
something good. And like you said, whether it's a sandwich, whether you're serving somebody down here, I mean, so on that, I wonder if you can say a few things about the volunteers who come here, and and share a little, because you've been doing some really good social media about highlighting stories of our volunteers and what they do, who they are, what compels them to do the work, and say a little bit
Yeah.
about these volunteers and staff, as with Shella and Jessica and Kevin, and
Yeah.
what, if you're listening to this and you have a desire to help people, why should you come here and help us?
We are the organization that we are because of the people who volunteer here. We couldn't have done it because if you look at the staff here, we're three of us or four of us who are trying to serve sometimes 130 people a day. It is not
Mhm.
possible for us. It is our volunteers that show up again from the goodness of their hearts, who see the problems and who want to be a part of the solution. Um, Philanthropy isn't financial.
Mhm.
Philanthropy, again, comes from the goodness of your heart. And whatever you're able to do, however you're able to support people, um, these are volunteers who show up because they believe that their work is contributing to a better society. They love to see people whose stomachs are full. They love to be able to help those who are in need. And again, this is like circling back to the inherent goodness of people. I do
Mhm.
believe that we all have that sense of service to others that we don't necessarily tap into all the time, but our volunteers are the ones who find joy, who find worth and value in giving back to society. And they do it in whatever capacity they can. There are people who will come in here 3 days a week and volunteer because they can. There are
Mhm.
some who come here every alternate week.
Mhm.
And that is okay. It's purely because they want to do it and they want to see the smiles on people's faces that they do this. So I think our volunteers are such an essential part of our operations because they show up, they they do the work that needs to be done, and they believe in our mission as well. They believe in the mission of radical hospitality, and they're the ones smiling at you, they're the ones serving you. So everything I say, the work I do, is meaningless without our volunteers and
Mhm.
without all the hands we have that serve those in need.
Yeah.
um uh,
Is there a particular need you're looking for someone to volunteer and do something now?
We've actually had a very good amount of interest in our volunteer programs recently. So I will say that we're not taking any more volunteers in our fellowship center or our food bank until the fall,
Hmm.
because we also have to make sure that we're maintaining our service standards
Hmm.
and training our volunteers and make sure that they know that what they're doing.
Hmm.
And it's, of course, we're always busy. I think in the month of May we served 1,130 meals over
Hmm.
4 weeks. We are collaborating with 519 Pursuit to deliver 50 extra meals every week. And 519 Pursuit takes these meals directly to those living in encampments. So
Hmm.
people even we can't reach, if they can't come to us, they're still getting fed. um, I do want to say, in the context of volunteering, but also doing the work that we're doing, it's hard work.
It is.
It can feel tedious. You can feel emotionally drained out. You feel sad seeing all the poverty and the helplessness that people have. And there are days where I've gone home and I've refused to speak to anyone and just went to bed because I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
But it is my privilege where I get to do that work, but also have a bed to sleep in.
Right.
I am grateful for the privileges I have. And at the risk of sounding patronizing,
Hmm.
we all do this work because we want to be a part of the solution instead of complaining.
That's right.
And I know a lot of people complain and they can't realistically do anything. They don't have the time to do something or
Hmm.
the money to contribute.
Hmm.
Think about how you can make this world a better place, how you can make London a better city for those who don't have homes.
Yeah.
Buy them that coffee. Do not your money that you can give to someone, that $5 bill um or whatever it might be, your complaint might be, oh, they're buying drugs to do this. Sometimes a drug is what gets them through a cold night.
Who knows? You know,
It is not for us to judge.
well, and if you're going to give somebody something, then you give it to them, and then after that, you release it. And
Exactly.
you know,
Just do it because they need it, not because you're trying to get something out of it.
one of my favorite stories about that, as an aside, is I was at the liquor store downtown here because I sometimes want to drink. And I came out of the liquor store with like a $80 bottle of Scotch whiskey, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And there was a guy panhandling just outside the door. And when I came out,
Yes.
I gave him $10. And
Yeah.
and the guy behind me said, "You idiot." And I turned around and I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "He's just going to go buy alcohol with that." I said, "Hey," I held up my bottle. I said, "I just bought alcohol with my money. He can buy alcohol with
Exactly.
his money. I'm not worried. I'm not
I
worried."
mean, sleep, food,
Yeah.
desire, pleasure, these
Mm.
are human necessities.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we don't, it's not what you want for people, but you have to be able to trust sometimes that the good you put into the world does some good and
Exactly.
not be skeptical of everybody for every reason. So I want to touch on
Yeah.
something you just said a minute ago, which was a question I had down here to ask you, which is um, because it is messy, stinky, um, demanding work. Sarah Miles is a great writer who's done a lot of work in San Francisco, and she writes very clearly about one of the things that just killed her was the smells and all that, right? So the question, and if you're hearing that right now, the lawn people are cutting the grass, so bear with us. But all that to say that when you come in here on any given day, we see some really difficult stuff, and that's emotionally
Yeah.
draining. It takes a toll. So you mentioned about going home and just saying, "I can't talk to people." How do you care for you? How are you looking after you in this? Because it's not an easy job.
You know, Kevin, I there's so much negativity in the world. I think it is also a radical act to be a positive person. It is a radical act to have optimism in your life and to see the world for its goodness and not always its negativities. It is overwhelming, but I think my day doesn't start with, oh my god, I have to go to work and do this. My day starts with, oh, I'm going to make myself a coffee, I'll take my medications, I will pet my cat, I will walk over to work. It's a 15-minute walk. I love my daily walk to work, and I think about, oh, we get to serve people another day. Our food bank is open another day. There's going to be less hungry people because of the work we're doing. And I feel proud to do the work I do. And I think that is the biggest part of it. But having my own support systems, my friends are some of the nicest people in the world, and the kindness of their hearts, the work that they're doing, it inspires me so much to see all the work that my friends are doing in different capacities. I surround myself with the people who are not demotivating, because it's easy to fall into the traps of everything is so horrible, but actively making the time to practice gratitude, to take care of yourself and your physical self as well. Go to the gym, eat good food, get some sleep, drink water. These are wisdoms for a reason. Like, I cannot, I mean, I've seen folks around the world um whose priorities are very different. And my priorities can't be going out every weekend and partying my life away, even though, hey, I am allowed to do that. And
Yeah,
I do
well,
that because that is also a very important part of me taking care of myself.
if you ask me to pick between that and the gym, I know which one I'm picking.
Recreation is important, but so is taking care of your mental health, your physical health, practicing gratitude, remembering that, again, I love to be part of the solution, remembering that I'm doing good. And hopefully, it was in grade 12 before we graduated from high school. My teacher had said, if you can inspire one person to change the world, then you'll be a successful person. And I think about that so much. I mean, if I can change the world in whatever capacity, if I can inspire someone else to do good in the world, then I think I'm a very successful person.
Yeah.
And that's what I these are little things we can all do. And I remember other people who are working in the field, and they have so much going on, and I am a 20 something year old single woman living in downtown London with a cat and a
Hmm.
roommate. I
Hmm.
don't have to take care of a family, I don't have to take care of aged parents, I don't have to think about a lot of things that other people are thinking about. So I count myself lucky in so many ways.
Right. And I think that
So
that's the
yeah.
part that people often forget and you're so mindful of, which is why I think you're effective at what you do, is that your circumstances are what they are. They're not because you're better than anybody else. You just happen to have them.
Exactly.
And somebody else's circumstances can be really, really terrible.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
so how do we respond to that, right? So because
Yeah.
we could talk all day, but last question, I guess. Well, two questions.
Okay.
One is how can listeners become more involved in meaningful ways? What how can they help the work of Pulse Place?
I think those are two separate questions. If you want to support Paul's Place, talk about the work we're doing.
Mm,
That's the best thing you can do. Tell your friends, like, if they want to give away some food, or if they want to donate some money. We all know someone who has the capacity to do some kind of philanthropic work.
mhm,
If you're in the strata of society where you have disposable income to give to charity, think about us. If your friends are passionate about homelessness, about food insecurity, and you're having those conversations, tell them about Paul's Place. Tell them about the work we're doing, the fact that we will take your donations and use that money to buy the food that we don't get from donations.
mhm.
We can start new programs. That's our ambition. Of course, we're an ambitious organization now, and we're trying to do a lot more. We're trying to expand our reach across society a lot more, as is evident by our collaboration with 519 Pursuit. Your money can help in so many different ways, but if you do not have the financial capacity, if you want to volunteer, if you have the time, we can definitely talk about that and see where you can support us. We currently need delivery drivers from grocery stores to pick up groceries and bring to us at 472 Richmond Street. But talk about us, talk about
Yes.
the organizations that are doing this work, and stop seeing us in a bad light. We're
Hmm.
not trying to fix a problem. We're not trying to band-aid any solutions. We're helping people.
Hmm.
We're all here because we care about each other. Now, if you don't, if it's about something you can do as a person in society that is not related to Paul's Place, come downtown, go to organizations that are doing this work, talk to more people, understand their circumstances. We all live in silos. You can, depending on your tax bracket, your friends are going to be a certain kind of person.
Yeah.
Break those barriers. Talk to people who you wouldn't talk to. Go to events. Go to the festivals happening downtown and meet a person sitting beside you eating an arepa and talk. Ask them where they came from.
Yes.
Ask
Yeah.
them what brings them to London and what they do for a daily life. Make a new friend. Open your worldview and understand that people have circumstances they're dealt with. They have, everyone is on a different life path, and enrich your life with stories and experiences.
Yeah.
I like to say I'm a collector of people and experiences, and
That's good.
be, become a human museum of stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's what allows you to develop empathy. If you don't come downtown because you're scared that, I don't even know what you're scared about if you're about
Mhm.
downtown, but you will go to Rome and get your passport stolen or your
That's right.
wallet stolen.
Yes.
So are you not going to go to Rome?
Yes.
Are you
Paris.
not going to
My
go
gosh, you
to,
ever been to Paris? Oh my
yeah,
goodness. I mean,
they will
I
heckle
saw
you for,
the most of abject poverty I'd seen in my life in Paris. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from the beauty of Paris. It
No.
is what
Yeah.
makes the city what it is.
Yeah.
London is what it is. We have
Yeah.
so much happening downtown. Come
Yeah,
here.
come down. Yeah, that's good. And I will say, because Nishta's been doing such a great job on this, follow our socials, right? Follow Paul's Place
Yes.
socials, because Instagram and Facebook, etc. Nishta's been doing a great job of getting the message out. Share that, subscribe, pass
Share
it
that.
along,
Yes.
right?
See what we're doing and stay updated, connected with us, because I promise you, you're going to have your time with us as well.
Yeah. So last question. As I said, I had two. So the last one is, what do you hope, like, what is it you hope that our guests come through our doors? They may be coming for food, from the food bank. They may be coming for a meal, or they may be just coming in to sit out of the heat, or
Mhm.
whatever. But we see, as you said, hundreds of people a week. What is it that
Mm.
what's the one thing you hope that they know about themselves when they go from here?
I want everyone to know that they're valued, that
Mm,
they're an important member of society. And I think we're all taught from childhood that value is either making money or
mm,
having a successful career or being able to afford a certain thing. But you're a valuable person regardless of what, of whether you value bring value to capitalism.
yeah.
I think we live in a political climate where we're told that if we don't make money or if we don't pay taxes, we're not valuable to society, and that is completely untrue.
Right.
We're all beautiful humans on this planet. We can all touch grass and feel like we're a part of the
Hmm.
earth that we've been created into.
Hmm.
Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Genuinely, nothing matters. I think um, I've had the opportunity of meeting some lovely people during my trip to South Korea. People who've chosen happiness over materialistic success,
Hmm.
and happiness looks so different to everyone. It can be getting wet in the rain and just feeling
Hmm.
connected with nature.
Hmm.
in the world of AI technology, yes, we're connecting with others in a different way, but connect with nature. You are valuable because you're a part of this world. You deserve food, you deserve shelter, you deserve safety. And we hope that we can make you feel that way, even if we can't give all of that to you.
Hmm. That is very good. Uh, Things don't matter, people matter. And
People matter, and
people
the
matter.
earth we inhabit matters.
Matters greatly, greatly matters. Well, look,
Yes.
we have been chatting with Nistha Chakraborty, who is the program manager of Paul's Place. I want to say thank you to you, to Shala, to Kevin Mitchell, to Jessica, who's been an incredible help for all that you do as staff. And I want to say thank you to the countless volunteers who come in every week to serve at the food bank and in the fellowship center. As you pointed out earlier in this podcast, we couldn't do this without them. And
Mhm.
so I want to express our gratitude for that. And especially today, because we're highlighting you, I'm thankful to you, Nishta, for
Thank
all that you
you.
do and for you've brought an incredible energy to this work. You've got a great vision. You really have embraced the work of radical hospitality with a great sense of purpose and grace and fortitude. And I'm thankful for what you're doing. It's an important part of the ministry of St. Paul's Cathedral. So thank you so much.
I appreciate being able to be here so much.
And thank you for joining us on From the Heart of the City. Well, that was our conversation with Nistha Chakraborty, and we're very thankful to her and to all who work at Paul's Place and volunteer there for the work that they're doing. And we're thankful to you for listening or watching From the Heart of the City. Please do us all a favor, share this with your family and friends, get people to subscribe, click, share, do whatever it is people do. We want to continue the conversation about how God is unfolding great things right here from the heart of the city in London, Ontario. Thank you all for tuning in and listening or watching. Look for us again next week, wherever you get your podcast, as we continue to share stories from the heart of the city.